Prince William's visit to the London Screen Academy yesterday raises an intriguing set of questions about his evolving interests, his role as an advocate for education, which of course I encourage and am enthusiastic about, and the carefully curated nature of his public engagements. And while his BAFTA presidency provides a clear link to the film industry, one cannot help but observe the selectivity of his visits, the cherry picking, and the broader implications of royal involvement in education and in the creative arts. Education undoubtedly is a noble cause, and the London Screen Academy represents a laudable initiative offering practical training in an industry notorious for its barriers to entry. As the Prince of Wales, William's endorsement of such an institution does highlight the importance of accessibility, particularly in a field that has long been dominated by privilege and insularity. The school's ambition to widen the doors of the British film and television industry to underrepresented communities is commendable, and it's heartening to see students like Kendra Nuugu articulate their belief that a career in film is no longer an unattainable dream. However, there remains an air of dissonance. The issue is not that Prince William visited an educational institution. On the contrary, his increasing engagement with education is a natural development of his own children's progress through their schooling years. The problem is the cherry-picking of engagements, where certain areas receive royal patronage while others, often at the drop of a hat, arguably more important, remain untouched or are shunned. His presence at the London Screen Academy, an undeniably high-funded and well-funded and high-profile institution, contrasts sharply with his absence to similar visits, with the absence of to similar visits to underfunded state schools struggling with teacher shortages, crumbling infrastructure, and a widening attainment gap, and his absence at things like the BAFTA award ceremony. If the Prince wishes to position himself as a champion of education and the arts, then surely he must address the whole spectrum. Moreover, while his visit underscored the importance of diversity in film, it remains to be seen whether the industry itself will take meaningful steps to dismantle its entrenched class barriers. Tim Bevan, co-chairman of Working Title Films and co-founder of the Academy, was candid in his admission that the film industry remains predominantly white and middle class. A royal visit brings attention, but will it bring change? Will funding be directed towards broader outreach initiatives, or will the industry's closed shop mentality remain intact once the cameras stop rolling? Prince William's interactions on the day, his quip about donning a steampunk outfit for a Saturday night out, his tentative approach to zombie prosthetics, reinforced his ability to engage in a relaxed, light-hearted way. He played his part well, gamely stepping behind the camera, participating in a dystopian short film about a world where music is banned, but the ease with which these engagements unfold should not detract from the broader question: what is the strategic intention behind this involvement? A cynic might argue that such visits are carefully collaborated to present the Prince as modern, accessible, and in touch with youth culture, an image which I'm sure the monarchy is conscious to evoke and to encourage, very much aware of the fragility of the monarch standing in the contemporary world. And unlike his grandmother, who embodied continuity and restraint, William represents an evolving royal family that's more media savvy, more engaged in popular culture, and more attuned to shifting social expectations. But does this newfound engagement translate into real impact, or is it merely well-orchestrated optics? There is, of course, value in promoting education in all its forms. The arts, film, television are crucial industries that contribute to cultural and economic vitality, and William's advocacy for broadening access to these fields is welcome. It must be welcome. Yet if his interest in education is to be taken seriously, it must be broader than an occasional foray into a well-resourced film school. It must engage with the challenges facing the sector at large: teacher retention, curriculum reform, educational inequality, bureaucratic overreach. And the Prince's visit to the London Screen Academy was in many ways a success. It showcased an inspiring institution that offers students a moment in the spotlight and reaffirms the importance of breaking down barriers to creative industries. Yet, As with many royal engagements, the real test lies in what comes next. Will this be a footnote in the broader narrative of royal patronage, or will it be part of a sustained and meaningful commitment to education in its entirety? That is the question that the Prince of Wales must answer if he truly wishes to be seen as an advocate for education, rather than simply a distinguished guest on a well-rehearsed stage.
Greetings, and welcome to the Sussex Ambassador channel. Here we delve into the often unspoken nuances of society's upper echelons, shedding light on the actions of those in the public eye. Today, we're discussing Prince William's PR tactics, a topic that has stirred much debate of late. If you're intrigued by such discussions, do consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest content. Without further ado, let's delve into the matter at hand. Professor Tim Wilson has issued a clear warning. He's not mincing words or pulling any punches. He's putting it all out there, crystal clear for anyone willing to listen. He's talking about Prince William's public relations tactics, and he's not impressed. You see, Professor Wilson is calling out the fact that Prince William's actions are more about appearances than substance. The Prince is often seen in well-funded spaces, smiling for the cameras and basking in the praise. But what about the institutions that are not so fortunate? What about the places that are struggling with poor funding, outdated resources, and lack of support? Professor Wilson sees through the facade. He sees that these photo ops are not about making a real difference. They're about maintaining an image, about looking like a leader without having to do the hard work of actually being one. He sees that Prince William is choosing the easy road, the road that doesn't challenge him, the road that doesn't require him to take a stand. And that's the crux of the matter. If Prince William truly wants to be seen as a leader, he needs to do more than just show up and smile for the cameras. He needs to take action. He needs to step into the uncomfortable spaces, the places where he can make a real difference. He needs to prove that he's not just interested in keeping up appearances, but in making the world a better place. Professor Wilson's warning can't be ignored. He's calling out Prince William's inaction, his stage performances, his PR spin. He's calling for the Prince to step up, to take a stand, to make a difference. Because until he does, all we're seeing is a performance, not leadership. In Professor Wilson's words, this isn't leadership, this isn't service, this is PR spin at its worst. Photo ops are the crux of the problem. This statement couldn't be more accurate when it comes to Prince William's public relations approach. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but when those words are empty of substance, the image loses its value. Our Prince seems to have an affinity for the camera lens, often choosing to engage in staged photo ops, rather than taking meaningful action. But the question we must ask ourselves is this: are these images truly reflective of the work he's doing? Or are they merely a facade, a smokescreen designed to distract from the lack of substantial progress? Take a moment to consider the spaces Prince William chooses for these photo ops. More often than not, they are comfortable, well-funded environments where he is unlikely to be challenged or questioned. He is praised and applauded, all the while avoiding the harsh realities of those in need. But what of the institutions that are struggling? What of the schools with poor funding, the hospitals with outdated resources, the communities lacking support? Where is their Prince? Ignoring the harsh realities of inequality is a severe problem. This is the issue with Prince William's choice of appearances. It's not the glitz and glamour of well-funded spaces that need his attention, but the institutions that are barely surviving, struggling with poor funding, outdated resources, and lack of support. These institutions are the backbone of our society. They are the places where bright minds are nurtured, where dreams are born, and where the future is shaped. Yet they are overlooked, neglected, and forgotten. The Prince's focus on the shiny, well-funded spaces is a disservice to these struggling institutions and the individuals they serve. Prince William's choice of appearances is a clear reflection of his priorities. It's a clear indication of what he values and what he doesn't. The comfortable, well-funded spaces where he can be praised without any real challenge, these are his priorities. But what about the institutions that are struggling? What about the children who don't have access to quality education because their schools lack the necessary funding? What about the individuals who are denied equal opportunities because the resources they need are outdated or non-existent? These are the realities of inequality that Prince William chooses to ignore. His appearances in well-funded spaces are a mere distraction, a way to divert attention from the real issues at hand. But we can't afford to be distracted. We can't afford to ignore the realities of inequality. We need to face them head-on, address them, and work towards creating a more equal society. And if Prince William truly cares about education and equal opportunities, he should make these his priority. He should use his influence and resources to support these struggling institutions, to ensure that everyone, regardless of their background, has access to quality education and equal opportunities. He should stop making appearances for the sake of appearances and start taking meaningful action. If Prince William truly cares, he must shift his priorities. The realities of inequality can no longer be ignored. It's time for change. It's time for action. It's time for Prince William to step up and be the leader he claims to be. It's time for meaningful action, not empty performances. A statement that rings true, especially in the context of leadership. A leader is not defined by the number of cameras pointed at them, nor by the amount of applause they receive. True leadership, the kind that deserves respect and admiration, is defined by the actions they take when no one is watching. The bold, impactful steps taken to make a real difference. Prince William's actions have been under scrutiny, and for good reason. The world doesn't need another performance, another carefully orchestrated photo op. It needs action. It needs change. It needs leaders who are willing to step out of their comfort zones, to face the harsh realities that many are forced to endure daily. It's not enough to visit well-funded institutions, to pose for cameras in comfortable, controlled environments. It's not enough to simply acknowledge the existence of inequality, to offer words of sympathy, and then move on. It's time for Prince William to demonstrate his commitment to the cause he professes to support. This means stepping into the institutions that are struggling, the ones that are underfunded, the ones that are overlooked. It means advocating for equal opportunities, not just in words, but in actions. It means standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, to use his influence and privilege to effect meaningful, lasting change. The world doesn't need another performance. It needs leaders who are willing to roll up their sleeves, to get their hands dirty in the name of progress. It needs leaders who are willing to take a stand, to act on their beliefs, to fight for what is right. It's time for Prince William to step up, to take on the mantle of leadership that he seems so eager to wear. It's time for him to show the world that he is more than just a figurehead, more than just a face in a crowd. This is the call to action that Prince William needs to answer. In conclusion, Prince William's PR tactics are failing him. Over the course of this video, we've dissected the troubling pattern of his public relations approach. We've considered the astute warning from Professor Tim Wilson, who has rightly pointed out that the future king's tactics are not only failing, but are also a disservice to the institutions he purports to support. We've discussed the issue with photo ops, the shallow, comfortable spaces where Prince William is praised without challenge. We've highlighted how these actions ignore the stark realities of inequality, how they bypass the institutions struggling with poor funding, outdated resources, and lack of support. We've underscored the need for meaningful action from Prince William, not just the well-crafted appearances, but the tangible, bold steps that demonstrate real leadership. Professor Wilson's warning is clear, and it's high time Prince William heeds it. Leadership isn't about maintaining appearances. It's about making a difference, about stepping out of comfort zones to address glaring societal issues. To be seen as a leader, Prince William must prove it with actions that extend beyond the camera's reach. He must prioritize education and equal opportunities, not just in words, but in deeds. Thank you for joining us today. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Goodbye from Sussex Ambassador.